The street was quiet that night. The air was heavy, the lamps were dim, and only the sound of Ethan's footsteps echoed against the old brick walls. He was returning from the small shop where he worked part-time, his bag slung across his shoulder. The city looked almost empty at this hour, the kind of silence that makes a person uneasy. Ethan was used to walking alone, but something about this night felt different. It felt colder, darker, as if the shadows themselves were watching him. He kept glancing over his shoulder, half expecting someone to follow. But the street behind him was clear. He tried to laugh at himself, telling his own mind not to act like a child, and then it happened. A voice, small and trembling, cut through the silence. It was not a voice of an adult, not a command, not a shout, but the fragile voice of a child. Ethan stopped, his heart beating faster. The voice whispered again, "Take my toys, human, please." He turned, and what he saw made his body freeze. A figure stood near the corner, just outside the reach of the streetlight. She was small, no taller than a 10-year-old child, her body thin and delicate. Her hair shone faintly, as if silver threads had caught the moonlight, and her eyes glowed softly like pools of liquid light. Ethan blinked, thinking his tired brain was playing tricks. But the figure did not vanish. She stepped forward slowly. In her arms she carried a bundle of old, broken toys, strange shapes that seemed handmade. Some of them glowed faintly with colors Ethan had never seen before. Her voice trembled again. "Please take them. I need money to buy medicine for my mother." Ethan's mouth went dry. He wanted to ask who she was, but no words came. Instead, he simply stared at her, trying to understand what he was seeing. Her skin was pale, almost luminous, not like any human he had ever known. She was not from here, not from this city, maybe not even from this world. The girl clutched the toys closer, her silver eyes shining with tears. She looked frightened but also desperate. "Please," she whispered again, her voice cracking. "I don't want her to die." Ethan finally found his voice, though it was weak. Who are you?" he asked. The girl lowered her head, her lips trembling as if she was afraid to speak. I am not like you," she said softly. "But my mother is sick and only human medicine can help her. I have nothing else, only these toys. Please take them, sell them, and give me the money." The words struck Ethan like a storm. His mind was torn between fear and pity. Every instinct told him to run, to escape this strange, impossible scene, but something about her voice, about her trembling hands and shining eyes, pulled him closer. He remembered his own mother. Years ago, lying sick in bed, her hand weak in his. The fear of losing her had almost broken him. The memory came rushing back, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt that same ache in his chest. The girl held out one of the toys. It was small, shaped like a bird, with wings that shimmered faintly in the dim light. It looked fragile, but when it touched her hand, the wings glowed and moved slightly as if alive. She placed it on the ground, pushing it toward him with trembling fingers. "This is all I have," she said, her voice almost breaking. "Please, don't let her die." Ethan crouched slowly, staring at the toy. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was beautiful, glowing softly, almost breathing. His heart pounded harder. Was this real? Was this some dream? He looked back at the girl, and his fear slowly turned into something else. She was not a monster, not a threat. She was just a child trying to save her mother. And somehow she had found him, a stranger in the night. The street around them stayed silent. The lamps buzzed weakly. The shadows seemed to press closer. It felt like the whole city had vanished, leaving only Ethan and the alien girl, two souls caught in a moment that was larger than both of them. Ethan swallowed hard, his voice shaking. I don't understand, but I will listen," he said. The girl's silver eyes widened, hope flashing through her tears. She hugged the toys tighter, her small body trembling with relief. "You are kind," she whispered. "You are the first human who stopped." But deep inside Ethan, questions twisted and burned. Why was she here begging in the shadows? Where was her mother? And why did he feel in the pit of his stomach that something else was watching them from the darkness? The night grew heavier, the silence returned, but now it felt dangerous. Ethan had no idea that this simple choice, stopping for a crying alien girl, would pull him into a story of fear, danger and secrets far beyond Earth. Ethan stood there, his breath visible in the cold air. The little alien girl looked up at him, her glowing eyes full of both fear and hope. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the broken streetlight above them. It flickered weakly, casting short flashes of light on her silver skin. Finally, Ethan whispered, "What's your name?" The girl hesitated, her lips trembling as if the name itself was heavy. "My name is Lyra," she said quietly. "My mother calls me that, but she is very weak now." Ethan nodded slowly. The name sounded strange but beautiful. He asked, "Where is she?" "Your mother?" Lyra pointed down the street toward the edge of the old industrial area. "She is hiding." "In our ship," she said. "It's not far. But she cannot move anymore. She is sick and I have no medicine." Ethan felt his heart tighten. He wanted to help, but his mind still whispered questions. Was this some kind of trick? Some illusion? He wanted to believe her, yet something deep inside warned him to be careful. He asked softly, "Why me? Why did you come to me?" Lyra looked down at her glowing toys, then back at him. "Because you stopped," she said. "You looked at me, not like the others." She took a shaky breath. "Many humans saw me before, but they ran away." Or threw stones. Her words hit Ethan like a knife. He imagined her wandering the streets, begging strangers who only saw a monster. The thought made him feel ashamed. He crouched down so his eyes were level with hers. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. "I just need to understand." Lyra nodded weakly. She opened her small hands and showed him the glowing toys again. They are not from Earth," she said softly. "I made them from pieces of our ship." Her fingers trembled as she held one up. "I thought, maybe humans like toys, maybe they will give me money." The toy in her hand flickered. It looked like a small creature made of glass. Inside it, tiny lights moved like living stars. Ethan stared amazed. "You made this?" She nodded. "Yes. I used to play with them when I was happy, before my mother got sick." For a moment, silence filled the space between them. Then Ethan said quietly, "Lyra, what kind of sickness does she have?" Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know the human word," she whispered. "But it makes her skin turn gray, her heart slows. Her breathing stops when she sleeps." Her voice broke. "She needs something humans make." "Medicine called oxyline," Ethan froze. He knew that name. Oxyline was a rare drug used only for critical heart treatment. It was expensive and not easy to get. Even humans struggled to buy it. "How do you know about that medicine?" he asked. "My mother read it from your screens," Lyra said softly. "She learned your language while hiding." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. This small alien child knew how to read English. There was something heartbreaking and brave about it. She took a deep breath. "I went to hospitals, but they would not let me in. They said no aliens, no strange things. They screamed and called guards," her voice trembled. "So I tried to sell my toys. But no one wanted them, they just laughed." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He had never believed in aliens, never believed in miracles, but now, standing under that broken light, he saw one crying in front of him. "And all she wanted was to save her mother," he whispered. "Lyra, if I give you money, how will you buy medicine?" "They won't let you in." She looked up, her silver eyes filled with determination. "You can buy it for me," she said. "You are human." "They will not stop you," Ethan hesitated. His heart pounding, he barely had money for himself. His job paid little. Yet when he looked at her small hands holding those glowing toys, he couldn't say no. Something about her made him feel responsible, as if fate itself had chosen him for this strange mission. He said quietly, "All right, I'll try." Lyra's eyes widened. Her lips parted in surprise. "Really?" she whispered. "You'll help me?" Ethan nodded slowly. "But I need to see your mother first. I need to know she's real." The air grew still for a moment. Lyra looked afraid again, as if unsure whether to trust him. Then she nodded. "Okay, follow me," she said. "But you must not tell anyone. They will hurt her," Ethan promised. "I won't tell." She turned and began walking down the narrow alley, her small feet almost silent. The dim light of her toys glowed softly, guiding their path through the darkness. As they moved deeper into the industrial area, Ethan's unease returned. The buildings were old, windows broken. The air filled with dust and rust. He could hear faint metallic sound, maybe wind, maybe something else. He wanted to ask where they were going. But Lyra kept walking, silent and focused. Finally, they reached a large abandoned factory. Its walls were cracked, the gates half open. Inside, a faint blue light shimmered like fog mixed with electricity. Lyra turned to him and whispered, "She's inside." Ethan's heart raced. He stepped closer, his shoes crunching against old glass. The air felt heavy, like a storm was waiting to break. He could feel it. Something inside that factory was not normal. Lyra looked back at him, her eyes full of hope and fear. "Please," she said softly, "don't be afraid. My mother won't hurt you." Ethan nodded, but deep inside his mind whispered a warning. He had no idea what waited inside. A sick, alien mother, or something far more dangerous. The darkness ahead seemed alive, and as they stepped into it, the soft glow of Lyra's toys was swallowed by the shadows. The factory was dark and silent. Only the faint sound of dripping water echoed from somewhere deep inside. Ethan followed Lyra carefully, his steps slow, his heart beating fast. The air smelled like metal and dust, and the light from her glowing toys was the only thing guiding them. Lyra walked ahead, her small hands holding one of the glowing bird-shaped toys. Its wings shimmered softly, throwing blue light on the cracked walls. Ethan's eyes moved nervously around the place. Old machines stood like sleeping giants. Rust covered everything, and long cables hung down like vines from the ceiling. "Your mother is really here?" Ethan asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "Yes, but she's weak. Please be kind when you see her." Her voice trembled slightly, like she was afraid he might not believe her. Ethan wanted to say something reassuring, but he stayed silent. They walked deeper until they reached a large metal door. Lyra touched it gently, and to Ethan's surprise, the door opened by itself. A soft humming sound filled the air, low and musical, almost like a heartbeat. Inside, the space glowed faintly with blue light, coming from strange floating crystals attached to the walls. Ethan's eyes widened. In the center of the room was a small craft, half broken, half glowing. It looked like a mix between a spaceship and a cocoon. Cables ran across it, some broken, some sparking gently, and near it, lying on a blanket, was a woman, pale, motionless, breathing slowly. "That's my mother," Lyra said softly. She ran to her and knelt beside her, touching her cold hand. The woman's skin shimmered faintly like silver glass. Her chest moved with weak, shallow breaths. Ethan stepped closer, his fear fading a little, replaced by sadness. Lyra whispered to her mother in a strange language, her voice breaking with emotion. Then she turned to Ethan. "See? I told you. She needs medicine, not much, just one box." Ethan nodded slowly, still trying to believe what he was seeing. He felt both amazed and heartbroken. They looked so fragile, so lost, not monsters, not invaders, just a mother and child trying to survive. But a question burned in his mind. "Lyra," he said carefully, "if you're from another world, how did you come here?" She looked at him for a long moment, as if deciding whether to tell him. "Our ship crashed," she said finally. "Many of us died. Only I and my mother escaped. We hid here because your people were afraid of us." Ethan looked at the broken craft again. He could see the damage, deep burns, twisted metal. This wasn't a lie. It was real, and suddenly he felt something inside him change. He no longer saw her as an alien. He saw her as a child who had lost everything, and now she was begging a stranger on a cold Earth night for help. Lyra pulled out one of her glowing toys and placed it in his hands. It was warm to the touch, like holding a heartbeat. "This is for you," she said softly. "You can sell it, it's full of energy. Human machines will want it, please. Just bring the medicine before morning." Ethan stared at the toy. It pulsed with faint light, like it was alive. He didn't understand what kind of energy it held, but he could feel power inside it. He wanted to ask how it worked, but when he looked at Lyra's face, all he saw was fear and hope. He said quietly, "I'll try, but it's not easy. Medicine costs a lot." Lyra nodded quickly. "You don't have to give money, just trade this toy, it's enough." Her voice trembled again. "Please, Ethan. You're the only one who can help us," her words echoed in his mind. The only one? Ethan felt the weight of them pressing on his chest. He wanted to help, but doubt still lingered like a shadow. What if this was a trap? What if these toys were dangerous? He looked at the glowing craft again. Strange symbols moved slowly across its surface. It looked beautiful but also alive, as if watching him for a moment. He thought he saw a figure move in the reflection of the metal. He turned quickly, nothing there, only darkness still. The feeling stayed. The sense that something unseen was close. Watching, waiting, listening, Lyra noticed his unease and whispered, "You're scared, aren't you?" Ethan gave a small laugh. "Maybe a little," he admitted. "But I think you're more scared than me." Lyra nodded silently, her eyes shining with tears. "Every night I think someone will find us," she said. "Humans or hunters." "They hate us, hunters?" Ethan asked, confused. She looked down, refusing to answer. Instead, she whispered, "Just promise me. You'll come back." Ethan looked at the toy again. It glowed faintly in his palm. He nodded slowly. "I promise," he said. Though he wasn't sure why, he turned to leave. The soft humming of the ship following him as he walked out. When he reached the factory gates, he looked back one last time. Lyra was still kneeling beside her mother, the glow of her toy surrounding them like tiny stars. For a moment, Ethan felt a strange peace, then a sudden chill ran down his spine. Somewhere beyond the street, in the thick shadows, something moved, a shape tall and silent watching him. Its eyes glowed faint red, then vanished. Ethan shivered and quickened his pace. He didn't know that his promise had already pulled him into something far beyond saving one alien life. It was the beginning of a fight he didn't understand, and soon, he would have to make a choice, not between fear and courage, but between humanity and something greater. The night wind blew harder as Ethan stepped out of the factory. He could still feel the warmth of the glowing toy in his pocket. The city lights looked dull and far away, as if the world itself was half asleep. But something about the air felt different now. Heavier, colder, almost alive. Ethan walked fast, his footsteps echoing on the cracked pavement. He told himself everything was fine, that he had just met a scared child who needed help. But deep inside, he couldn't shake the strange feeling crawling up his spine. It was like being watched. Like unseen eyes followed his every move. He looked behind him. Nothing, just fog and darkness still. He couldn't help but quicken his pace. Each corner, each alley seemed to hide something breathing just out of sight. He pulled his jacket tighter and whispered to himself, "Get the medicine, go back, help her." That's all. But somewhere in the fog, something stirred. A tall shadow moved quietly between broken walls. A faint red glow flickered, then disappeared again. The air grew still, as if the night itself was holding its breath. Meanwhile, back inside the factory, Lyra sat beside her mother. She held her hand tightly, whispering soft words in her alien tongue. The faint hum of their broken ship filled the air like a heartbeat. But Lyra's own heartbeat was faster, filled with fear. She felt it too, the presence in the shadows. She looked toward the broken doorway, her glowing eyes narrowing. She could sense them, the hunters. They had found her again. She touched a small device beside her mother, and the air shimmered faintly. A weak energy field surrounded them. A shield, but broken and unstable. She whispered to herself, "Please hold on," just until he comes back, far away. Ethan finally reached the main road. Cars passed now and then. Their lights slicing through the darkness, he felt safer, though his mind still swirled with questions. He stopped at a small corner store, its sign flickering weakly. Inside, the shopkeeper looked half asleep behind the counter. Ethan approached carefully. "Excuse me, do you sell Oxyline?" The man frowned. "That's hospital medicine, boy. You can't buy it here." Ethan's heart sank. "Please, I really need it." The shopkeeper studied him for a moment, then sighed. "There's a man in the next district, old pharmacist. Sometimes he sells unused medical stock." He scribbled an address on a piece of paper and handed it to Ethan. Ethan thanked him and hurried out, but as he turned the corner, he froze. Someone was standing across the street, and tall, silent. He couldn't see the face, only the faint red glow of eyes beneath a hood. For a second, they stared at each other. Then the figure moved and smooth, fast, unnatural. Ethan's heart jumped. He ran, the paper nearly slipping from his hand. He turned down another street, his breath sharp in his chest. When he looked back, the figure was gone. He stopped under a streetlight, gasping. Maybe he imagined it. Maybe the darkness was playing tricks again. But deep down, he knew it wasn't his imagination. Something was out there, following him, just out of sight. Back in the factory, Lyra's mother stirred weakly. Her voice was faint, like a whisper in the wind. "Lyra, they are coming." Lyra's eyes widened. "I know, Mother. He's helping us, a human boy." "He promised." Her mother's eyes glowed faintly, filled with both love and worry. "No one can stop the hunters for long," she said softly. "Even kindness has limits." Lyra shook her head, tears falling down her silver cheeks. "He's not like others. He looked at me with hope, her mother smiled weakly. Then maybe fate sent him, but fate can be cruel. The ship's light flickered again, its hum slowing like a dying heartbeat. Ethan reached the address after a long walk through narrow, dark streets. The old pharmacy stood between two abandoned buildings. The windows were covered in dust and the sign above the door was broken. Still, a faint light shone inside. He knocked, and an old man opened the door slightly. "What do you want at this hour?" the man asked sharply. Ethan hesitated. "I need Oxyline. Please, it's for someone who's dying." The old man stared at him, then sighed. "That medicine is rare and not cheap," he said. "How much can you pay?" Ethan pulled out the glowing toy Lyra had given him. The man's eyes widened, the blue light reflecting off his face. "What is that?" he whispered. "I've never seen such a thing," Ethan said quietly. "It's valuable. Trade this for 1 box of Oxyline." The man stared at it for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "Wait here." He disappeared into the back of the store. Leaving Ethan alone, Ethan looked around. Everything was silent again. Too silent he could hear his own heartbeat. Then he noticed something in the reflection of the glass door. The same red eyes. Watching from outside, he spun around. Nothing. Just the faint movement of fog rolling down the street. The door creaked behind him, and the old man returned with a small white box. "Here," he said. "Take it and leave." Ethan grabbed the medicine and ran out. He didn't stop until he reached the main road again. But as he reached the corner, he froze once more. The figure was there again, standing still, waiting. The red eyes burned like fire in the dark. A cold voice whispered from the shadows. "You should not have helped her, human." Ethan took a step back, his hands shaking. "Who are you?" he shouted, but the figure didn't answer. Instead, it tilted its head slightly, almost curious, then vanished into the mist, leaving only the echo of its voice. "Now, they will all come." Ethan stood frozen, the box of medicine trembling in his hands. He had no idea what they meant, but one thing was clear. Lyra was not the only one being hunted, and by helping her, he had painted a target on himself. The shadows had started moving, and the watchers in the dark were no longer watching, they were coming. The night felt alive now, every shadow seemed to whisper. Every sound made Ethan turn his head. He clutched the small box of medicine tightly in his hands, afraid to let it go. The glowing toy Lyra had given him pulsed faintly from his pocket, as if it knew what was coming. Ethan walked fast through the empty streets. His shoes splashed through puddles left by the evening rain. The streetlights flickered weakly, making the world look broken and strange. He just wanted to reach the factory to give Lyra the medicine and end this nightmare, but deep inside, he knew the nightmare was only beginning. As he turned into a narrow street, the wind suddenly died. The silence was heavy, almost too perfect. He slowed down, his heart beating faster. Something was wrong. A sound came from behind, soft, metallic footsteps. Ethan turned quickly, but the street was empty. Only fog moved slowly through the air. He took another step, and then a voice deep and cold echoed. "Human," it said. "You have something that doesn't belong to you." Ethan froze. The voice came from the darkness to his right. A tall figure stepped out of the shadows, one of the hunters. Its body was covered in dark armor that shimmered like oil. Its eyes glowed red beneath a metal mask, and its voice was sharp like steel. Ethan stepped back, clutching the medicine box. "I don't want trouble," he said quickly. "I just want to help her." The hunter tilted its head. "Help her?" It hissed. "She is a thief. Her kind stole from us." Ethan shook his head. "She's just a child. Her mother is dying." The hunter's voice grew colder. "Her toys are not toys. They are keys. Weapons." It took a slow step forward, the ground vibrating under its weight. "Give me what she gave you, human, and you may live." Ethan's heart pounded. He reached into his pocket and felt the glowing toy. It pulsed stronger, as if reacting to the hunter's presence. He didn't understand what it was, but somehow it felt alive. He took a deep breath and whispered, "No." The blue light burned through the air like lightning. For a moment, everything was noise, metal cracking, walls shaking, echoes of power rolling across the old factory. Ethan felt the ground tremble under his feet, but he didn't let go of Lyra's hand. The glowing toy in his palm pulsed brighter and brighter until it exploded into a storm of light. When the flash ended, the world fell silent again. Dust floated through the air, and smoke curled from the cracks in the walls. The hunters were gone, vanished, or thrown far away. Only Ethan, Lyra, and her mother remained. Surrounded by the faint blue glow of the ship, Ethan gasped for air, his hands trembling. He looked down. The toy in his hand had changed. It was no longer a toy, but a smooth crystal sphere, glowing with patterns of light that moved like living veins. What is this?" he whispered. Lyra stared at it, her eyes wide with shock. "I didn't know humans could awaken them," she said softly. "Only our kind can do that." Ethan frowned. "Awaken what?" Lyra looked at the sphere, her voice trembling. "They are not toys, Ethan. They are hearts." Ethan blinked, confused. "Hearts?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Hearts of our protectors, ancient machines that once guarded our world." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "When our home was destroyed, my mother took their hearts and hid them inside toys so no one would find them. She looked down. I thought they were just memories. I didn't know they could still live." Ethan stared at the glowing sphere. It pulsed gently, almost like it could hear her words. He said quietly, "So when I used it, it woke up?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, you connected to it somehow. It chose you." He shook his head, trying to make sense of it. "I'm not from your world, I'm not special," he said. "Why would it choose me?" Lyra's mother spoke weakly from behind them, her voice soft but filled with weight. "Because the heart recognizes the will to protect," she said. "It listens not to power but to purpose." Ethan turned, and she was sitting up now, her silver eyes glowing faintly. He could see she was still weak, but there was something strong about her presence. It felt like standing near a quiet storm. She looked at him with both gratitude and sadness. "You risked your life for my child," she said. "That is rare among your kind." Ethan lowered his head, unsure what to say. "I just did what anyone would," he murmured. The woman gave a faint smile. "No," she said softly. "Most would run." Lyra helped her mother stand as the ship's energy flickered around them. The hum grew stronger, the walls glowing faint blue. Ethan looked around. "Are you leaving?" he asked. Lyra's mother shook her head. "We can't. The ship is too damaged." "The hearts were our only defense." "Now one of them belongs to you," Ethan frowned. "Belongs to me?" Lyra stepped closer. "You're connected now. Ethan, the heart's energy is inside you." He felt his skin prickle. The faint blue glow still shimmered faintly on his hands. He said quietly, "So, what happens now?" Before Lyra could answer, a deep rumble shook the ground, the walls creaked, and the ship's sensors began to flash red. Her mother's eyes widened. "They're coming back," she said. "And they won't come alone this time." Lyra turned to Ethan, fear returning to her face. "They know the heart is awake," she said. "They'll stop at nothing to take it." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we fight." Her mother looked at him, surprised. Almost proud. "You are brave," she said. "But this fight is not yours." Ethan shook his head. "It is now." He looked at the blue sphere, feeling its warmth in his hands. "Whatever this thing is, it trusted me. So I'll protect it. And you." The woman took a deep breath, her voice steady. "Then you must know the truth," she said. "Before the end comes." She placed her hand over the sphere, and a projection filled the air. A swirl of light forming a world Ethan had never seen before. Cities floating in the sky, towers made of crystal, creatures with glowing wings. But in the distance, fire, smoke, and destruction. Dark ships covering the skies like clouds of death. "Our world was called Valora," she said softly. "A place of peace. Until the hunters came." She pointed to the dark ships in the vision. "They were once our protectors. Machines built from the same hearts that power those toys." Her voice broke. "But something corrupted them. They turned against us." The projection changed, showing worlds burning, light fading. "Only a few of us escaped," she said. "And we brought the last 7 hearts to hide on Earth." Ethan stared, speechless. 7? He whispered. "How many have you lost?" Lyra's voice trembled. 2, she said. "The hunters found them and destroyed them." She looked at the glowing heart in Ethan's hand. "That's the 3rd one. The last one's still awake." Ethan swallowed hard. "So if they get it, they'll have enough power to finish what they started," her mother said. "And Earth will be next." The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Ethan felt the weight of them sink deep into his chest. He looked at Lyra, her small face brave but filled with fear. Then at the glowing heart, warm, alive, waiting. He took a deep breath and said quietly, "Then we don't let them win." Her mother nodded slowly. "You speak like a guardian," she said. "Perhaps that's what the heart saw in you." Outside, thunder rolled through the night far away. Red lights flashed in the fog. The hunters were coming. But this time, Ethan wasn't running. He looked at Lyra. "We'll protect your mother," he said, "and your world." Lyra's eyes filled with hope, the glow of the heart reflecting in her tears, and as the first rumble of footsteps echoed outside, the ship's light grew stronger. The heart pulsed in Ethan's hands, ready, alive, awake. The truth was no longer hidden, and the war for both worlds was about to begin. The storm outside was growing stronger. Thunder rolled across the sky like the growl of an angry beast. Rain began to fall through the broken roof of the old factory. Each drop hissed as it hit the blue light glowing from the ship. Ethan stood near the doorway, the glowing heart in his hand. Lyra and her mother stayed behind him, their faces lit by the pulsing blue light. The air was thick, heavy with energy and fear. Every sound outside made Ethan's heart beat faster. "They're close," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. Her mother nodded, her silver eyes faintly glowing. "They won't stop now. The hunters can smell the energy of the heart," she said softly. She touched Ethan's arm gently. "If they take it, everything dies, not just us. But your world too." Ethan took a deep breath. "I won't let that happen," he said quietly. "Not while I'm still breathing." The first sound came like thunder, metal footsteps echoing through the broken gate. Red lights moved through the mist outside, 1, then 2, then 4. The hunters had returned. Their tall shapes shimmered in the rain. Armor glowing with deadly red lines, the leader stepped forward, the same one who had followed Ethan before. Its mask glowed brighter as it spoke. "You cannot fight what you do not understand. Human," it said coldly, "give us the heart, and we will spare your life." Ethan's voice was calm, but his eyes burned with fire. "You said that last time," he said. "But you lied." The hunter tilted its head slightly. "Then you choose death," it hissed, raising its arm. A spear of red energy formed in its hand, glowing, humming, ready to strike before it could move. Lyra stepped beside Ethan, her hands glowed faint silver. Her eyes blazing with courage, she whispered, "We fight together." Her mother reached out weakly, touching the ship's console. The walls pulsed blue, lights flickering back to life. "Ethan," she said, her voice breaking, "the heart will respond to you. Use it not with fear, but with faith." Ethan closed his eyes. Gripping the heart tightly, he could feel it, warmth spreading through his chest. The sphere's light grew brighter until it merged with his heartbeat. He opened his eyes, and they glowed blue. The hunters charged. Their claws slicing through the air, Ethan raised his hand, and a wall of blue energy burst from the ground. The first wave hit it and shattered like glass. Lightning danced across the room, the sound of power roaring through the factory. Lyra moved beside him, her voice chanting soft alien words. Blue lines of light appeared on the floor, forming a pattern around them. The air shimmered, the heart's energy expanding, protecting them both. One of the hunters broke through the shield and lunged. Ethan turned and swung his arm. The light from his hand blasted forward. The creature flew back, crashing into the wall with a metallic scream. Its armor cracked, glowing red fluid spilling out. But more kept coming, faster, stronger. For every one that fell, 2 more stepped out of the mist. The floor shook, the air screamed with energy. Ethan's breath grew heavy, his arms trembling from the power he barely controlled. Lyra shouted, "You can't hold it forever." "I don't need forever," he shouted back. "Just long enough to end this." Her mother's voice came again, weak but clear. "There is another way," she said. "The ship's core. If we release it, it will destroy them, but—" She stopped, pain filling her voice. "It will destroy us too." Ethan looked at her, eyes wide. "There has to be another way," he said. But she shook her head slowly. "Our kind is nearly gone. You and Lyra are the future." "I am not," Lyra cried out. "No, I won't lose you." Her mother smiled faintly, touching her cheek. "You won't lose me. I'll live in the light." Ethan felt the weight of her words like a stone in his chest. He wanted to stop her, but he knew she was right. Sometimes saving the world meant losing something precious. The hunters roared, their leader stepping closer. "You cannot win," it growled.